Hi everyone, Kathy Rose here. I'm going to talk to you about the astrological patterns for July 2026. The mandala you see on screen is for the sign Cancer, and there is really powerful Cancer energy flowing through the month of July. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. Let's begin with the themes for the month. Fireworks and sparklers. Well, for the US, that's obvious because we have the big 250th anniversary for our nation on July 4th. But this is also going to be for the entire world because we have a powerful configuration between Mars and Uranus happening that day, and it's filled with electricity. Also in July, though, is an incredible auspicious planetary pattern that comes about, which can be really part of this pivot point in humanity that's happening. So we're going to talk about that. And then the background undercurrent theme from that Cancer energy has a lot to do with deep emotional reckoning and healing potential as we go through this month. So let's dive in and let's begin first with the Mercury retrograde in Cancer that's going on for the month until the 23rd. So, the first thing we need to remember is that Mercury entered Cancer in June and spent almost the entire month in that sign, and then began the retrograde at the very end of June, and it completes it on the 23rd. Mercury will not leave the sign until August 9th. So Mercury is the planet that is connected with how we need to think, and its background energy directing our thinking in terms of that particular sign. Cancer is a water sign. It is emotional, sensitive, compassionate, and very, very intuitive and creative. Cancer is oriented to nurturing and nourishing and being connected to family. So this entire time, all through June, all through July, until the early part of August with Mercury in Cancer, we get to understand our emotional reactions at a new level. So pay attention, especially during the retrograde phase. Pay attention to what triggers an emotional reaction in you, especially if it's not productive. Pay attention to that because you might be able to reframe, you might be able to heal. The healing potential peaks out particularly strong at the new moon in Cancer, which takes place mid-month, and I'll show you that chart in a moment. So it's fascinating that the intuitive signals are going to be phenomenally powerful. Perhaps you've already been experiencing that with Mercury in Cancer in June, dreaming and knowingnesses, flashes of the future, the gut feelings, all particularly strong right now. Thinking is flowing through the gut rather than logic. Allow it to take place, expand out into it because it wants to flourish. Fascinatingly, and as an astrologer, I notice patterns. So, fascinatingly, not only are we having this long transit of Mercury in Cancer due to the retrograde, but following it, then we have Mars entering Cancer. So, Mercury leaves Cancer August 9th, Mars enters Cancer August 11th, and will stay there until September 27th. So there's a statement being made here by the planets that says we need to understand our emotional reactions, what triggers us, what we choose to infuse with emotions in our actions or our feelings. Anything having to do with affirmations or positive mantras or declarations flourish more when they are filled with emotion, when our feelings back up what we are saying. This is a perfect time to be exploring that. So there's a whole lot taking place in the entire month of July, which has this emotional current. Another thing that's very important that we have to talk about is this configuration between Mars and Uranus peaking out in a conjunction on July 4th. Now, I am recording this on June 26th. I was going to record it on the 24th, the day a lot of earthquakes started taking place. So we had two big earthquakes in Venezuela with a lot of destruction, unfortunately, a very sad situation. We had an earthquake off of the coast of Japan, earthquake in California, and a lot of others in the Ring of Fire. Now, I mention this because it's quite typical with Mars Uranus interacting with each other, conjunct, square, opposite, that there are earthquakes. Doesn't guarantee it, fortunately, but it's quite common. What took place on June 24th when we had a lot of earthquakes happening in different parts of the world on the same day was that transiting Mars was also at the same degree as well, it was square to the degree of the solar eclipse in Aquarius, which happened February 17th. Mars was on the degree where Uranus was for that eclipse. So it operated as an activation point. I have two videos on my YouTube channel about that solar eclipse in Aquarius. Perhaps you've seen them. What I talked about with my friend Agnes Belesne is that that particular eclipse in February gets reactivated several times this year and into next year. Ongoing activity, even including the war in Iran. So we shall see. Now, going back to July 4th in Mars Uranus, I am hoping that there are not going to continue to be big earthquakes taking place. I don't want to energize that. It's possible. I hope the earth settles down, or if big earthquakes have to happen, they are not in high density areas. I don't like creating fear, but it's possible. Um, I want to say that Mars Uranus conjunct in Gemini on the anniversary for the US is saying something. It's saying that the US is going through a growth period, needs to have an adjustment. Mars Uranus says, let's get some stagnation out and let's get a new growth pattern in. So I am hoping all 4th of July celebrations are peaceful and wonderful and that we get to enjoy the fireworks and sparklers. On a personal level, if you want to utilize this amazing configuration, you want to understand it's filled with adventurous growth energy that doesn't want to stay stuck in old patterns. This is a powerful electrical jolt of energy trying to create new revolutionary patterns, new growth. So use it as a catalyst. Be very clear about that. It's in Gemini. It may provide you with phenomenal new ideas, brilliant new insights. It's very possible. So next we're going to talk about the new moon in Cancer, which peaks out July 14th, 5:44 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And as you see annotated on screen here, with the blue lines and the red line, this is the configuration that is being linked to this very auspicious, flowing, positive energy, a pivot point for humanity. And it's not exact on the 14th, but that's okay. It's still incredibly powerful. And it has to do with how Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all interacting with each other. A very famous astrologer named André Barbeau, French astrologer who died in 2019, coined this particular configuration as a basket and called it, in fact, on one of the slides coming up, called it the most auspicious planetary arrangement of the century. So we see it active at the new moon in Cancer. What we also see is that the sun and the moon at 21 Cancer is very close to Mercury at 19 Cancer. So there is this very special energy happening here, saying, again, as I mentioned earlier, be aware of what triggers emotional reactions in you. Are you in charge of how you are reacting? Or can the universe come in and push your buttons and trigger a reaction that you don't understand? You want to take that to the next level and start being in charge of your own state of mind. That is part of this. Now, Mercury being close to the sun and the moon really will be enhancing intuition phenomenally. Before you go to sleep at night, make sure you're cleansing your aura. Cleanse your energy field, put a bubble of light around your bed, in your bedroom, cleanse. I have that cleansing meditation on YouTube. You can always search that. It's aura cleansing or create your own. But you want to go to sleep in a cleansed state because there's going to be a lot happening in your dreams for the month of July. And you want to participate. This is also a great time to be spending time with family, to be telling people that you love them, that you respect them, that you honor them, to be giving hugs, to be nurturing yourself and nourishing yourself. This is a very powerful period. So, this um, wonderful configuration called the Barbeau basket is exact. It's at its peak from July 19th through the 21st. And that's when the four outer planets align at 4 degrees. So you saw the new moon in Cancer, Jupiter was at 3 degrees. From July 19th through the 21st, it's at 4. So Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all at 4 degrees in positive aspects to each other. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto have been interacting this way since February of this year, very close. It happens to be exact in July. And then Jupiter comes in and acts as the amplifier. Barbeau called it the most beneficial configuration of the century. And I guess I need to alert you to the fact that Andre Barbeau predicted the pandemic that took place in 2020. He was an amazing mundane astrologer. He died in 2019, just prior to the pandemic. So this can act as a resolution phase, like a pivot point for rebuilding, and humanity may be going to the next level. Next, on July 23rd, we have Mercury ending the retrograde phase at 16 degrees Cancer. And on screen, you see the words expect clarity. I want to continue to try to reframe or reprogram people's thinking about Mercury retrograde. When social media came about and astrologers realized we could connect with the world through social media, there became a very powerful phase of a lot of fear-based programming with astrology, especially Mercury retrograde cycles, which are normal cycles. And a lot of the things that were posted in the beginning part there was expect delays. Mercury is retrograde, expect delays. Or your computer will fail. Or people would post survival guides for Mercury retrograde. And what does that imprint into your brain when you hear that? It imprints that this is not a good cycle. And I have always felt the opposite. I've always tried to remember that Mercury retrograde usually creates incredible clarity for me. It's usually a very productive time. It's a deep time to reorganize my thinking. So I want you to consider telling yourself to expect clarity, not just on the day it goes direct, but for the entire Mercury retrograde cycle. Expect clarity. I like that. Okay, next is the full moon in Aquarius at the end of the month, July 29th, 10:36 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And you see again this basket formation once again showing up on screen. All the planets are still within orb. The only planet that has significantly moved is Jupiter. It's moved 2 degrees forward, so it's at 6 degrees instead of 4. Uranus is almost at 5 degrees on that day, but they're still interacting. This energy is going to be strong for the entire year. It's not just July. I want to say that because it becomes very sensational when we go, oh my gosh, July is the one and only time for this special activation for humanity. And it's not. I think it lasts through the entire year. It just happens to be very, very strong in July. So, what's significant about this full moon in Aquarius, this is actually beautiful. It's delicious in its energy, in that the sun is conjunct Jupiter. And that's very enthusiastic. It's powerful in belief of self, the potential for you to love yourself at a new level, for you to believe in yourself, for you to have confidence in your own ability, for you to stop saying negative things to yourself is so strong. So the the focus of this moon in Aquarius, opposite Sun, Jupiter, and the moon happens to be conjunct Pluto. Again, interacting with all those other outer planets. This is a time frame where you can give yourself permission to love who you are and not be afraid of being obnoxiously egotistical. And that's what stops most people that I know, especially women, because we're told you can't brag, you can't tell other people about your accomplishments. You know, women have that programming much more than men do. And so then women put themselves down more or downplay their achievements. Well, this energy is saying, stop doing that and start appreciating who you are. Love yourself, let it shine, let it glow. This is like allowing yourself to be a golden beacon of radiant, warm energy, glow. Just let yourself shine. That moon in Aquarius, which is opposite the two Leo planets, is helping us to funnel that energy into humanitarian connection, understanding that we are all one, we are all connected, that yes, you might be incredibly special in many areas, but a lot of other people are too, rather than I am the king and everybody else is my subject. That's more the shadow side of Leo. So this is a beautiful full moon in that you can go ahead and love yourself and tell yourself you're fabulous and believe in your good intentions. Check your motives. Know your intentions are loving. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. But when it's coming from a loving intention, it's very different than when it's coming from manipulation or control or ego, right? So this full moon allows you to embrace your self-love and to shine and to show up as a leader. And leadership doesn't mean you're in charge of a bunch of people. It just means connecting with your inner authority and radiating it to the world. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I hope you expand and shine. I mean, really. So my final thoughts for the month. I chose this meme that we created, which says, sometimes your only means of transportation is a leap of faith. There are opportunities in July for us to make a gigantic leap of faith. On one level, it's a leap of faith in ourselves. Jupiter in Leo is suggesting believe in who you are, know you are a wonderful, loving person, and that you deserve love. So make that leap, take the jump. The leap of faith is also in understanding how intuition works and that there's a constant flow of intuitive information that flows in that goes beyond logic, isn't scientifically proven yet, but nonetheless, very potent and very powerful that we can benefit from understanding. So take the leap of faith in understanding the intuitive signals flowing around you. It's also a leap of faith for humanity. This beautiful configuration peeking out exact in July says go ahead and believe in the loving potential of humanity, of all of us who are on the earth and connecting and learning to operate at a higher level. So much in July that is noteworthy and powerful. Expect clarity. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you in August. In the meanwhile, much love and many blessings being sent to you. And I hope July is just the most fabulous month for you. Bye for now.